In today's video, we'll be going over all of the new PlayStation 4 game releases this week, and let me tell you, there are a lot of new games and a lot of major new game releases. A lot of games that gamers have been really looking forward to are finally being released this week, and obviously being capped off by one of the biggest PlayStation 4 exclusives of the year. But outside of that, a ton of other very exciting game releases as well, and on top of the game releases, we have details on 2 upcoming PlayStation 4 game demos, an opportunity to check out some highly anticipated games without any investment at all, so we'll cover those after we talk the new game releases. First, let's talk about the new PlayStation 4 game releases of the week. We've got 8 pretty big titles to go over, so let's get right into it. First up, we have Planet Alpha. Planet Alpha is a really cool platformer set in a beautiful alien world filled with mystery and danger. You're pursued by relentless enemies, and you must harness the power of night and day as you struggle to survive. The game is being released at $19.99, so it obviously is a budget title, but considering it is a platformer like this, you kind of expect a lower tier price. Looks very good. Don't know if this is one gamers are going to pick up right away, but definitely one to keep your eyes on. Next up, we have a massive Japanese RPG in Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age. Dragon Quest is finally back with a traditional Dragon Quest game. We had some spin-off titles like Dragon Quest Warriors, Dragon Quest Builders, and those games were fine and good, but now it's great to see the franchise return to form with Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age. The reviews for the game are already out, and they're looking very positive. It's sitting at an 88 on Metacritic, which is a very respectable score, and the game itself looks to have a ton of content, anywhere from 60 to 100 hours based on what the reviews are saying. Dragon Quest XI will be dropping on September 4th. Next up, we have the next major expansion for Destiny 2 and Destiny 2 Forsaken. Destiny 2 Forsaken is going to be similar to the Taken King expansion for the first Destiny. It's going to have a large overhaul on gameplay, a large expansion with a ton of new content and a new game mode called Gambit that combines PvE and PvP. That mode will also feature its own ranking system called Infamy, which works similar to the Crucible's Valor ranking system. If you've been into Destiny, Forsaken is going to expand the experience quite a bit. It's going to be dropping on September 4th.
Them in that structure in the center. When you bank your emotes, you get to disrupt the other team that you're racing against. You can send enemy blockers over to their arena. And then eventually, when you've collected enough emotes, you can actually invade the other team. That's where the competitive aspect comes into play.
It's very much a risk-reward type situation, Indeed. Trying to decide how many motes you're going to hold, but you're kind of...
Next up, we have Shadows Awakening. Dragon Quest XI isn't the only RPG being released this year. Shadows Awakening is a unique isometric single-player RPG with real-time tactical combat. You embark on an epic adventure with challenging gameplay, a gripping storyline, and enchanting graphics. Shadows Awakening drops September 4th. Next up, we also have a pretty big remaster in Zone of the Enders: The Second Runner Mars. Zone of the Enders is a franchise that I never thought would make a comeback, but here we have a remaster of the second game in Zone of the Enders: The Second Runner Mars. Hideo Kojima is best known for his work on Metal Gear Solid, but he did also work on the Zone of the Enders franchise, and as far as mech games go, this is one of the best series that you're gonna come across. Unfortunately, it seemed like the games didn't do commercially well enough to warrant future entries in the franchise, but maybe if the remaster does well enough, I don't know how it would come to fruition, but a Zone of the Enders 3 might not be completely off the table. I'd love to see it. At the very least, Zone of the Enders: The Second Runner Mars is releasing at $29.99, which is a very low price. I did say, however, based on recent experience, remasters go on sale rather quickly, and September is a month with a lot of game releases. Maybe Zone of the Enders is one of those games you can wait out on, and you can find it even cheaper later in the year, maybe for $19.99 or even $14.99. But the game is definitely going to be worth its $30 price tag, which is already pretty low. It's dropping on September 6th. Next up, we have SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy. We've got a brand new fighting game. Tag Team Frenzy has you play as 2 characters per fight, and every battle you'll choose an attacker that serves as the playable character and a supporter that assists the former. In this game, it's impossible to defeat enemies with a normal move, and thus you have to do what is known as a dream finish. A little bit of an interesting nuance to a fighting game, but generally speaking, a lot of the same mechanics that you'll see in your more nuance-oriented fighting games. SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy drops on September 7th. Next up, we have without a doubt what is the biggest game release of the week, one of the biggest game releases of the year, and that is Marvel Spider-Man. Yes, it is finally coming. Marvel Spider-Man was announced all the way back at E3 of 2016, and gamers had always wanted Spider-Man to be done justice, and it looks like with Insomniac's Marvel Spider-Man, that will finally be happening. There is so much anticipation for this game. I think there's a legitimate chance this could be one of the best PlayStation 4 exclusives ever. I even think there is some chance that maybe it'll be a bit better of a game than God of War. I personally didn't think of God of War as highly as some other people, but I still thought it was a fantastic game. I would really like to see Spider-Man give it some competition because God of War is comfortably there as the best PlayStation 4 exclusive thus far, but right away, less than 5 months later, we have a game that's kind of challenging that position, so that's great to see. At the very least, I just want to see a very high-quality Spider-Man game. We've seen good Spider-Man games in the past before, like Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, but we've never seen that truly great Spider-Man game, so it's not like this has to be a masterpiece right out of the get-go. As long as they set a solid foundation, I think Insomniac is fine. Marvel Spider-Man drops on September 7th.
Give me a break. Listen, citizen, the police play by the book. Spider-Man, he plays by his own rules.
Hey, where you going?
Sources tell me that he's running around town using unsanctioned experimental gadgets like trip mines, spider drones, and something called a web bomb. Where does he even get the stuff?
Maybe he makes them himself.
And lastly, we have Immortal Unchained. Now, Immortal Unchained looks like a pretty interesting game. A lot of gamers are describing it as Souls with guns, and right off the bat, if I say that and you're into Dark Souls, you're probably very interested. Mechanically, based on what I've seen thus far, it does look a little bit sloppy, and it is releasing at a $49.99 price point instead of a $59.99 price point, so I think that's pretty nice. However, I think the main issue with this game, and I've mentioned this multiple times, is it's a brand new IP, and it's being released on the same day as Spider-Man. I think if you own a PlayStation 4 and you had to pick one game to pick up on September 7th, you're going with Spider-Man above Immortal Unchained, and I do foresee Immortal Unchained hitting the bargain bin rather quickly. Even if it is a pretty good game, I do foresee it not doing all too well commercially. Still, it's a pretty interesting game, and it will be dropping on September 7th. Hopefully, as a new IP, it does garner some traction.
Some have no right to freedom. I wish I could let you rot in this cell. This time I will have to fight fire with fire, or else everything will come to an end.
So those are all of the brand new PlayStation 4 game releases this week. Again, a lot of exciting titles, but that's not all we're going to talk about in this video. We've also got details on some upcoming PlayStation 4 demos. Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise will be getting a PlayStation 4 demo this week as well on September 4th. This was announced during PAX West, and Sega made the announcement that the game would be receiving a demo, and if you aren't familiar with Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise, how I've described this game is the game that I never knew I wanted. It's a Fist of the North Star game, which is one of the most iconic Japanese IPs of all time, but it's kind of played as a Yakuza game. Yes, Fist of the North Star meets Yakuza, and if you're into Fist of the North Star, if you're into Yakuza, those two franchises coming together and making some sort of a hybrid game, that sounds absolutely awesome. I'm still not completely sold on it, but given the fact we are getting a demo, I'll be sure to try that out, and that'll give me a better idea of what the game entails. As far as an official release, Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise will be dropping on October 2nd. And next up, we have details on Anthem getting a demo. Yes, BioWare's next title, which is still a ways out, that's going to be released on February 22nd, but we know the game will be receiving a demo on February 1st next year. And this is another game I'm not completely sold on, so great with BioWare and EA offering gamers a demo. Anthem is a very ambitious game. It seems like gamers are super excited for it. It gives me a lot of Destiny vibes, but I definitely like the premise they're going for with the game, so again, you'll be able to check out a free demo on February 1st that's going to be released on all platforms. And by the way, the demo that's going to be released on February 1st is going to be a complete demo for the game. The beta testing for the game is going to happen sometime before, so when we play the demo on February 1st, that is a finished version and a complete version of the game, so just bear that in mind. But that demo will be dropping on February 1st, so still a ways out, but thought I would mention that was coming out of PAX West as well. That's going to conclude this video. Again, we've got 8 new game releases this week, highlighted by Marvel Spider-Man, Dragon Quest XI, and I would say Zone of the Enders, the Second Runner, is going to be a pretty cool game as well, but all of those games have something to offer, and I'm interested to see how each one of them individually does, especially Immortal Unchained. That'll be a nice gauge to see how a game does competing with another major game release, and it's a brand new IP at that. If it was an established IP, that would be one thing, but a brand new IP trying to make waves, I just have my skepticism with that game, but hopefully it turns out well. And again, Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise will be getting a demo on September 4th, and Anthem will be getting a demo on February 1st, still a ways out, but thought I would mention that. That's gonna wrap up this one. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.